The path has been set by those who came before us. Indian Motorcycle was founded in 1901 by George Hendy, a racing legend in his own time, and Oscar Hedstrom, a self-taught engineer dedicated to innovation. From the beginning, the bikes were built for speed and performance. For decades, Indian dominated the racing circuits and was the premier American motorcycle manufacturer. The 2009 Indian Chief motorcycles are worthy successors to the legendary motorcycles that captured the world's imagination over a century ago. The new machines are made in Kings Mountain, North Carolina, with the same commitment to performance, handcrafted quality, and advanced technology that has made Indian a world-renowned name since the turn of the century. The birth of a brand. How did Indian come to be? George Hendy took up bicycle racing at the age of 16. He won his first national championship in 1881 at Hampton Park in Springfield, Massachusetts. The motorcyclist reported, he continued his undefeated reign until 1886, when he retired unbeaten, the holder of many national titles and all high-wheel records from 1 to 20 miles. At 16, Oscar Hedstrom was an apprentice at a watchmaking company, learning about machine tools, pattern making, and foundry work. In 1899, he obtained a Friend de Dion engine, and by studying that simple engine, he found that he could make improvements that would substantially improve performance and dependability. Using the improvements Hedstrom made to the de Dion engine, including developing a superior carburetor, he built a fast and reliable pacer to use at bicycle races. In some cases, pacers were used to run ahead of the bicycle racers, to break the air and reduce wind resistance. The early pacers were known for being unreliable. Press accounts of the day report the ridicule and delight of the fans when a smoking, sputtering pacer was passed by the bicycle racers. This did not happen with Hedstrom's machine. Noting the successful performance of the Hedstrom pacers, George Hendy approached Hedstrom in 1900 with the idea of designing a motor-assisted bicycle that could be mass-produced and sold to the public at large. An agreement was made, and Indian Motorcycle was born. The name Indian was chosen because the founders thought there was nothing more American than the Native American Indian. By 1913, Indian was the market leader, producing over 30,000 units per year in the largest motorcycle factory in the world. Its popularity was driven by its reputation for reliability, innovation, and technology. The automobile proved to be Indian Motorcycle's ultimate competitor. In 1913, Henry Ford implemented the moving assembly line to speed up and reduce the cost of mass production. With production advances, prices fell so much that the price of a Model T was on par with a motorcycle. Ford also instituted the installment credit program, enabling many more of the American working class to buy automobiles. Prior to these initiatives, the motorcycle had been the transportation of choice for the masses. The motorcycle industry had to change and adapt after the introduction of the automobile. Motorcycles were now viewed as transportation as well as recreational vehicles. Racing became even more important as motorcycling became an enthusiast activity. The racetrack became a playground for anyone who owned a motorcycle. During World War II, Indian Motorcycle proudly met 60% of America's military motorcycle requirements. During World War II, Indian dedicated all of its production to the military effort. When the U.S. War Department asked American motorcycle manufacturers to develop military machines for World War II, Indian created the Model 841. The motor featured a 750cc V-twin, with the cylinders turned sideways and set at 90 degrees. The 841 also featured several other new features, including shaft drive, a foot shift, hand clutch, hydraulic girder spring fork, rubber-mounted handlebars, a sprung rear hub, and 8-inch drum brakes, all of which made it onto post-war Chiefs. World War II proved hard on Indian. Contracts from both the U.S. and Allied governments were fruitful at first, but the Jeep quickly displaced the positions motorcycles once held. Indian made it through the end of the war, producing non-motorcycle items like aircraft engines. At war's end, Indian had to reduce its workforce, finding itself with a weaker dealer network and a still declining market share. Indian Motorcycle could not survive this period after the war and stopped production in 1953. Production ceased from 1953 to 1998. In 1998, production began again in Gilroy, California. Their first products were powered by an S&S engine, and the first new Indian proprietary engine in 50 years was introduced in 2002 as the Power Plus 100. In September of 2003, Indian Motorcycle in Gilroy, California ceased operations. In 2004, entrepreneurs acquired the trademarks. Headed by Chairman Stephen Julius, a businessman successful in reviving iconic struggling brands and companies. After extensive market research, the company redesigned the Indian Chief motorcycle. Only after exhaustive testing did production begin in late 2008. Each bike is hand-built by a team of craftsmen who build the engine and vehicle from start to finish in the Indian Motorcycle Assembly Plant that's located in Kings Mountain, North Carolina.